If you have these signs, you're an empath chosen one with a precious gem within. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly sensed the energy before a single word was spoken? Have you ever felt overwhelmed in a crowd, not by the noise or the movement, but by the sheer weight of other people's emotions pressing into your chest like invisible waves? Or maybe someone told you they were fine, but something in you, some deep, unexplainable knowing, whispered they were not. If any of this feels familiar, then there is something you need to hear, something most people will never be told. If you have these signs, you're an empath chosen one with a precious gem within. And that gem, it's not just rare, it's sacred. But let's go deeper than surface-level spirituality. This isn't just about being sensitive. The world throws that word around like it's a flaw. They call you too emotional, too dramatic, too easily affected. But what if I told you that what they call too much is actually your superpower? What if your sensitivity wasn't a wound, but a window into something ancient, something cosmic, something that's been buried in the noise of modern life? Because I'm telling you now, not as a guru speaking down, but as a fellow traveler who's seen the other side of pain. Your soul came here with a mission. And that mission requires you to feel.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Empaths aren't just people who feel others' emotions. They are energetic alchemists, transmuters, carriers of frequency. You are the tuning fork of the collective, picking up vibrations that others are numb to. You're the one who cries during a song because your spirit hears what the lyrics left unsaid. You're the one who can't fake a smile because your soul refuses to lie. You absorb not just energy, but truth. And that's why life has been so hard for you, because truth, in a world built on illusion, is a dangerous thing. Let's be honest, being an empath in a world that glorifies disconnection feels like carrying an open wound through a battlefield. You've likely been told to toughen up, to not take things so personally, to grow thicker skin. But here's the sacred paradox. Your thin skin is what allows you to feel the sacred pulse of reality. Your open heart is what lets the divine whisper through your veins. You were not made to be numb. You were made to awaken, and awaken you did, but not through ease, through pain, through heartbreak, through moments where you felt like you were drowning in emotions that weren't even yours. But that pain wasn't punishment, it was preparation, because the gem within you, the one I speak of, only reveals itself under pressure, like a diamond buried in rock. Your soul had to be compressed, challenged, refined, and that's why your life has been intense. That's why you felt everything so deeply. The universe was chiseling away everything false so you could remember who you are. And who are you? You are a chosen empath. Not chosen in the egoic sense, not above anyone else, but chosen in the sense that your soul volunteered to be here. You volunteered to come into a chaotic, disconnected world and anchor light into it, not through preaching, but through presence, through love, through your ability to feel what others have forgotten how to feel. That's your gem. That's your gift, but the world doesn't teach you how to honor it. The world teaches you to suppress it. So let me ask you something that no one else may have bothered to ask. What part of yourself have you been dimming just to survive? What sacred intuitive power have you buried under the rubble of needing to be accepted, liked, understood? Because every time you ignored your gut feeling, every time you felt something was off but said nothing just to keep the peace, You chipped away at your own gem, and now you're being called to reclaim it. You see, the empath's pain isn't just personal, it's collective. You carry not only your own wounds, but the echoes of ancestral trauma, societal dysfunction, and spiritual disconnection. But here's the miracle. You also carry the solution. You are the bridge between the broken and the whole, between the seen and the unseen. You are the one who can walk into a dying room and breathe life back into it, not with words, but with your presence. And that's not poetry, that's spiritual physics. Energy doesn't lie, and your energy, when aligned, is medicine. But alignment requires courage, it requires boundaries, it requires you to stop trying to heal everyone else while bleeding out yourself. Because being an empath doesn't mean being a martyr, it means being a guardian of energy, a protector of the sacred, and that includes your own soul. You can't fulfill your mission if you're constantly drained, constantly saying yes when your spirit screams no. You weren't meant to be everyone's emotional sponge. You were meant to be a mirror, reflecting truth, love, and light back to a world that's forgotten its own reflection. So how do you protect your gem? You learn to listen, not to the noise of the world, but to the quiet wisdom within. You stop explaining your intuition and start trusting it. You stop abandoning yourself just to avoid discomfort. You start honoring your rhythms, your cycles, your sacred no's and your holy yeses, and you begin to realize that your emotions are not liabilities, they're compasses. When you feel heavy, it's not because you're weak, it's because something in your environment is misaligned, and your soul is trying to tell you. Imagine this. What if every time you felt overwhelmed, it wasn't a sign of failure, but a call to deeper awareness? What if that anxiety wasn't yours at all, but a signal that something in your space needs clearing? What if your tears were sacred water cleansing not just your pain, but the pain of generations before you? You are not broken. You are brilliant. But brilliance requires care. It requires discernment. And it requires a radical commitment to becoming who you were always meant to be. Not a version of yourself that makes others comfortable, but the true you, the one who came here to feel, to heal, to transform. And if you're still here, still listening, still breathing with me through these words, then you already know, somewhere deep within you, the gem is glowing, waiting, calling, and the time to uncover it is now. The pain you absorb is proof of the power you carry. There's something most people will never understand about you, and maybe, until now, you've struggled to understand it yourself. Why does life feel so heavy sometimes, even when nothing seems wrong? Why do you carry a weight in your chest that no one else can see, that can't be explained, only felt? The truth is, while others move through life skimming the surface, you've been diving into the depths. You don't just witness pain, you absorb it. And while that may seem like a curse, it's actually the clearest sign of just how powerful you are. Empaths aren't weak. That's the myth. That's the lie you've been told to keep you small. The reality is that feeling the weight of the world and still choosing to love, still choosing to hope, still choosing to show up, that's not weakness, that's spiritual strength. It takes more courage to feel than it does to numb out. It takes more resilience to keep your heart open when it would be so much easier to shut it down. And yet here you are, still feeling, still loving, still trying to make sense of the chaos. And that alone makes you rare. But it's not just emotional heaviness you carry. You've likely been the one your friends come to when they're hurting, the one who can sit in silence with someone and still make them feel seen, the one who picks up the phone and, without hearing a word, already knows something's wrong. That isn't coincidence. That's your gift. You're a spiritual antenna tuned to frequencies others can't detect. You pick up on what's unspoken. You feel what's been suppressed, and you hold space for healing in a way that most people can't even articulate. And yet, that same gift can turn into a burden if you don't learn how to protect it. Because when you absorb too much, when you carry what isn't yours, you begin to forget who you are. You lose your center under the weight of everyone else's stories. You start to mistake their anxiety for your own. Their sadness, their anger, their confusion, it all becomes tangled up in your field. And if you don't cleanse it, release it, transmute it, it can make you sick, energetically, emotionally, even physically. So let me ask you something sacred. When was the last time you released what wasn't yours to carry? When was the last time you sat in silence, not to think, but to feel, to scan your body, your energy, your heart, and ask, is this even mine? Because most of the time, it isn't. You're carrying your mother's grief, your partner's anxiety, your friend's fear, the collective dread of a world in transition. But none of that is your truth. It's your mission to feel it, but not to keep it. There is a difference between compassion and codependency, between healing and absorbing. The empath chosen one learns this not in books, but through experience, through the breakdowns that come from overgiving, through the burnouts that follow years of saying yes when your spirit screamed no, through the sleepless nights when your nervous system is still vibrating from the pain you picked up during the day. But again, this isn't failure, this is feedback. Your soul is saying, there's a better way, a cleaner way, a wiser way. You were never meant to be a sponge, you were meant to be a channel, a vessel through which energy flows, not stagnates. And that requires boundaries, not walls, but sacred containers. Boundaries are not rejection. Boundaries are reverence. They say, I honor my energy enough to protect it. I honor your journey enough to not interfere. Because sometimes holding space means letting people face their own shadows. Sometimes love means stepping back. Sometimes healing means letting others sit in their discomfort without rushing to fix it. And here's the paradox. The more you learn to protect your energy, the more powerful your presence becomes. When you're not weighed down by everyone else's emotions, your own essence shines brighter. When you're grounded, centered, and clear, your energy begins to transform rooms just by entering them. That's the real magic of the empath chosen one, not in doing more, but in being more. In radiating a frequency so high, so pure, that it reminds others of who they are just by standing near you. But to reach that place, you must first reclaim your power from the pain. You must stop seeing your sensitivity as a flaw and start seeing it as sacred technology. You must stop apologizing for your tears and start honoring them as proof that your soul is still alive. You must stop hiding your intuition just to avoid being called too much, because the truth is, you are too much for a world that has settled for too little, but you are just right for the world that is being born. And that's the deeper truth most never touch. The pain you absorb is proof that you are part of the shift, part of the awakening, part of the wave of souls who came in early, who came in open, who came in aware so you could help midwife the new world into being. You are not here by accident. You are not feeling all of this for nothing. You're being trained, initiated, forged in the fire of emotion so that you can walk through any darkness and carry light with you. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, what is this pain trying to teach me about my power? Because within every ache, every tear, every energetic overload, there is a message, a reminder, a call. And if you listen closely, you'll hear it. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not too sensitive. You are wide awake in a world that is still rubbing its eyes. And that, beloved empath, is your gift. Your energy heals others, but it must first heal you. There's a silent miracle happening every time you walk into a room. Most people won't notice it. They'll feel better around you, but won't know why. They'll say things like, I don't know what it is about you, but I feel safe, or I can tell you anything. They may even cry in your presence without understanding what's happening. And you've probably gotten used to it. Maybe you've even brushed it off. But this is not ordinary. This is not random. It's the signature of an empath chosen one, whose energy is laced with healing frequencies. But here's the sacred truth most of us forget. The energy that heals others must first heal you. You are not a battery for the world to drain. You are not an endless well for everyone else to drink from while you remain parched. Your healing gift is not meant to be extracted, it is meant to overflow. And overflow only happens when the vessel is full, when you are full, when you are nourished, when you are centered, clear and alive. Anything less than that, and your gift begins to cost you more than it gives. You've likely been praised for your empathy, but rarely taught how to protect it. You've been encouraged to give, to hold space, to be the emotional anchor, but who has held space for you? Who has reminded you that your nervous system is sacred, that your heart, wide open as it is, needs tending too? Who has told you that your healing work doesn't start by saving the world, it starts by saving yourself? To heal yourself does not mean you're broken. It means you're willing to be in relationship with your wounds. It means you're brave enough to look inward, to ask the hard questions, to sit with the parts of you that ache and whisper, I'm still here. Because healing isn't a destination, it's a devotion. A daily commitment to return to your center, no matter how many times the world pulls you away. And as an empath, the world will try to pull you away through noise, expectations, emotional demands, and the subtle guilt that says, if you're not helping others, you're not worthy. But that is a lie. You are worthy not because of what you give, but because of who you are. And who you are is energy, living, breathing, vibrating light. When you are in your truth, when your energy is aligned, you don't even have to try to heal others. It just happens. Your presence does the work. Your stillness creates space. Your authenticity invites others to drop their masks. But if you are disconnected from yourself, your energy becomes fragmented. You begin to absorb instead of radiate. And that's when the burnout begins. So let's be honest for a moment. Have you been neglecting your own healing while trying to show up for everyone else? Have you been hustling for worth, overextending to prove you're enough, constantly pouring from a cup that's been empty for far too long? Because if so, it's time to stop. Not because your mission doesn't matter, but because you matter more than the mission. You are the mission, and if you're not whole, the work loses its integrity. Healing yourself as an empath chosen one means creating space for rest. It means honoring your body when it's tired, your mind when it's overstimulated, your heart when it's heavy. It means learning to say no without guilt. It means understanding that boundaries are not barriers, they are bridges to deeper self-respect. And it means cultivating rituals that bring you back to yourself, again and again, like sacred breath returning to the lung. What nourishes your soul? What brings you back to peace? Maybe it's nature, maybe it's music, maybe it's silence, maybe it's movement, prayer, art, solitude, whatever it is. I urge you, make it non-negotiable. Because every time you say yes to yourself, you strengthen your energy field, you become more radiant, more magnetic, more powerful. Not in a loud, flashy way, but in the quiet, undeniable way of someone who knows who they are. And that's what the world needs most right now. Not more noise, but more presence. People who are rooted in their truth. People who have done their inner work. People who don't just speak about healing, but embody it. That is the empath's true role. Not to fix others, but to inspire others through the way you live, the way you love, the way you be. But you cannot embody healing if you're constantly abandoning yourself. You cannot carry others if your own foundation is cracked. You cannot be a lighthouse if your flame is dim. So let this be your reminder. It is not selfish to put yourself first. It is sacred. It is essential. It is the only way your gift can truly shine. The empath chosen one was never meant to live in depletion. You were meant to rise in devotion to yourself, to your calling, to the divine intelligence that flows through your being. And when you do, something extraordinary happens. Your energy becomes a sanctuary. People heal just by being near you, not because you fix them, but because you remind them of who they really are. So the next time you feel the urge to give, to help, to hold space, pause. Ask yourself, am I giving from overflow or depletion? Is this an act of love or an act of fear? Am I honoring my energy or betraying it? These questions are not selfish, they are spiritual. They are the compass that guides you back to wholeness again and again. Because in the end, your healing is not separate from the world's healing. They are one and the same. As you rise, so does the collective. As you reclaim your energy, you invite others to reclaim theirs. As you choose yourself, you show the world what self-love truly looks like, not just as a concept, but as a living, breathing reality. And that, dear empath, is how your energy becomes the medicine this world so desperately needs. You are the sacred mirror, why your existence awakens others. You may not realize it yet, but your very existence is a reflection of what others have forgotten within themselves. You are the sacred mirror, unapologetically clear, deeply intuitive, and vibrationally attuned to the truth. When people look at you, something ancient stirs inside them, not because you're trying to impress or convince, but because who you are reminds them of who they are. Your presence disrupts the illusion. You don't even have to speak. Just being in your energy invites people to look inward. And for some, that's terrifying. For others, it's liberating. But all of it is necessary. You've likely felt the tension of this your whole life. People are drawn to you intensely, magnetically, but some also pull away without explanation. You may have blamed yourself, wondering what you did wrong. Let me say this as clearly as I can. You did nothing wrong. In fact, you did something so right that it shook the sleeping parts of others awake. You see, when someone has spent a lifetime avoiding their truth, your truth feels like a threat. When someone has built walls around their heart, your open-heartedness makes them feel vulnerable. And when someone has forgotten their light, your light feels too bright. Not because you're too much, but because they're not ready to remember. That's the paradox of being a chosen empath. You awaken people without trying, and that awakening can feel like friction before it ever feels like freedom. You may never get the thank you, you may never see the impact, but like a match that sparks a fire, it doesn't stay to watch. Your role is to ignite, to awaken, and then to walk on, carrying your light into the next dark room that needs it. It takes incredible strength to hold that kind of power with humility. It takes inner mastery to keep loving when your love is misunderstood. It takes wisdom beyond years to know when to stay and when to walk away. But you were built for this, not in a way that inflates the ego, but in a way that honors the soul's contract. You came here to evolve, yes, but you also came here to be the evolution, to embody the new way, to live as the example of what healing, authenticity, and presence can look like in a world that has forgotten those things. And the beautiful part is, you don't have to force any of this. You don't have to become something new. You simply have to remember what you already are. The sacred mirror doesn't shout, it doesn't argue, it doesn't chase, it simply reflects. It stands in its stillness and says, "Here I am, and through me, here you are." When you live aligned with your inner truth, when your energy is no longer distorted by people-pleasing or approval-seeking, your reflection becomes clear, and clarity is contagious. But being that mirror also means being willing to lose people. It means being okay with being misunderstood. It means realizing that not everyone is ready to see what you reflect. And that's okay. That's not your failure, it's their timing. You're not here to wake everyone. You're here to walk your path so clearly, so honestly, so deeply, that those who are ready will feel your resonance like a soul-level echo, and they will come, not because you chased them, but because your light reminded them of their own. This is the quiet revolution of the empath chosen one. Not loud, not flashy, but real, transformative, unshakable. You change the world not by fixing others, but by fully embodying the healed version of yourself. That's how you teach, that's how you lead, that's how you become the portal for others to step into their own power. So never underestimate the impact of your presence. Your calm may be the storm someone needs to face themselves. Your truth may be the permission someone needs to stop pretending. Your joy may be the invitation someone needs to believe in their own. And your pain, yes, even that, may be the mirror someone needs to finally see their own wounds and begin to heal. You are the sacred mirror. You're not here to fit in. You're not here to be liked. You're here to reflect truth. And truth will always make waves before it makes peace. But if you stand firm in who you are, those waves will become ripples. Those ripples will become tides, and those tides will shape a new world, one soul at a time. That's the legacy of the empath chosen one. Not fame, not recognition, but impact. Quiet, deep, eternal. And if you felt this truth stir inside you as you've listened, then it's time. Time to stop shrinking. Time to stop hiding. Time to trust that your energy is not a burden, it's a beacon. And the more you let it shine, the more others will remember that they too were born to awaken. So go now. Without apology, without explanation, without delay, the world doesn't need a version of you they can digest. It needs the full, raw, radiant, awakened you. Because when you remember who you are, you help the world do the same. And that, dear soul, is how the mirror becomes a movement. You are not just chosen, you are necessary. You are not just empathic, you are divine.